I got interested in homeopathy a long time ago, when I was still a medical student. In fact, I initially got interested in traditional Chinese medicine a very long time ago. Embarrassed to tell you exactly how long ago. I went to China. It was still the tail end of the Cultural Revolution. Mao Zedong was still alive, so that gives you a clue. And we went to the operating theatre of a small Chinese provincial town, and there was a woman lying on the operating table, entire abdomen open, conscious, talking to the anaesthetist with 3 needles in her left ear. And I thought, that doesn't happen, they didn't teach us that at Cambridge. And for a while I seriously intended to study traditional Chinese medicine. Then I became aware of homeopathy through being ill myself and being helped by homeopathy, and decided homeopathy is much more accessible in the sense that you need to completely change your whole way of thinking to do Chinese medicine. With homeopathy, there's always been a dialogue with Western medicine, often a dialogue of the deaf, with both sides shouting and neither listening, but there has been some kind of a dialogue. So it's much easier to get into it. But then, to progress, if you want to be a doctor doing homeopathy, the career pathways are, to put it mildly, limited. And so what I did, in fact, was to do a research post at Bart's Hospital with a man called Professor Paul Turner, very good guy, no longer with us, unfortunately. So I did a research fellowship, and at the same time got my higher medical training, then went back to what was then the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital, and all the time I've had a foot in both camps.
My background, in fact, I'm a biochemist, and I did my PhD on immunology, and I was working on vaccines and adjuvant for more than 10 years, and then I switched to homeopathy. So and the turning point was an interesting story. So I was about to quit from the Finlay Institute for many reasons, apart from be tired of running in circles on the same project without having any real solutions. And then the president and general director, Dr. Concepcion Campa, just called me and offered me a position to work with homeopathy. And that was the first time I heard the word homeopathy. I asked for a couple of months to study and to learn what is homeopathy, and then I decided to work on homeopathy, and that's it. So I'm working on that since that time.
I remember first thinking about homeopathy and research, so combining those two terms in my head while listening to Rebecca Preston teaching me in the 3rd year at the Northwest College of Homeopathy about belladonna, and her citing the fact that the belladonna was proved on 5 people. And I remember falling off my chair at the back of the class at the idea of this homeopathic remedy, which had been used for 200 years, 300 countries, and it had been proved on 5 people. So I thought, well, what is the evidence base for this very interesting system of medicine? So that's got my mind going. And then when I started having to work in the NHS, when I started working in the NHS, I had to collect routine outcome measures, routine outcomes on every patient for every consultation. So I used MyMop, which a lot of you will have heard of. It's a patient-generated outcome measure, validated outcome measure. And then we found that I just found that whole process which was very interesting. I was then also a homeopath inside a trial. I was a homeopath, one of 10 homeopaths in Elaine Weatherly-Jones's chronic fatigue trial of homeopathy, and I found the whole experience very interesting, disturbing even, and I thought, well, what is this? I don't understand. If this is science, I don't know what it's measuring. And that set me up with a whole load of questions. So that was 10 years ago, and so I think the last 10 years has me been trying to answer those questions that came up for me within the trial, and I feel like I've addressed a few of them. Still a lot more to go.
I got involved in homeopathic research in the way that when I was 18 years old, I read a book from a German pharmacist named Rudolf Hauschka. And he reported there on some crazy experiments where he succussed and diluted some substances, and he observed even effects when diluted far beyond anything material inside or in these potencies. And at that point, one thing got immediately clear to me. So it's just simply not possible. what he's repeating there, what he's reporting there. Yeah? And on the other hand, I had the feeling, maybe that's something interesting. And then I got a little bit more into the details of all the homeopathic research at that time. And then I decided, oh, that's an interesting phenomenon, worth studying.
It probably started with a dog a long time ago that was went down on its back legs and wouldn't get up. The conventional vet treated it with non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. That caused the dog to throw up and projectile shit all over the place. And not a happy dog at all. So we stopped that and went to homeopathy from a local homeopathic vet, and the dog was up within 12 hours and carried on for another 3 or 4 years with a very high quality of life. So that's what started the homeopathy. The farming started because that's the way life went at that particular time, and so it seemed natural to extend the homeopathy approach into the farm, and so I've been using homeopathy on sheep and cattle for about 12 years ish.